I'm Maddie.
I'm Amber.
And we're Witches Talking Tarot.
We are the weirdos in this one.
I get soft like a sailor snubble. Flip the switch and let the cauldron bubble. Sam.
Wow.
Hey everybody, I'm Amber.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're Witches Talking Tarot. And today we are kind of, because Valentine's Day is right around the corner. We've tried to have some lovey-dovey. Check out last episode. Can't believe I never said that in the last episode. God damn. But anyway, we're some lovey-dovey content for you as we get into this Valentine Lupercalia season.
I was just about to say, check out our Lupercalia episode because that shit was so funny.
Yes.
I love that episode so much. We were talking about
spanking naked
it's
dudes with
super
branches.
bad. Yeah. Super bad. They're I'm so gonna chase her into the woods tonight.
Yes. Yes. And so from that same standpoint, girl, you spilling my tea. Sorry, the dog is spilling my tea, guys. Anyway, from that same standpoint of traditions for getting in the mood, we have done some research into the traditions of what happens after, you find that one you want to get in the mood with. So today we are bringing you a little bit of discussion around some different marriage traditions, like marital ceremony traditions, such as tying the knot, handfasting, jumping the broom, shattering the glass, not the glass ceiling, but under your foot. So
can we start with that one, please?
Yes! Oh my God.
Please, Amber did the research on this one, and
so excited. It's so beautiful. Oh my God. I took notes because I didn't want to forget any of them. Because so as I was doing my research on this one, one of the articles that I came across said, as with all Jewish traditions, this tradition has many reasons for doing it, and this one has a lot of many reasons for doing it. So, the first reason that at the end of the Jewish marriage ceremony, which is one of the most notable, that and the chair part, right?
Oh,
everybody knows that, right?
I love the chair.
I didn't think about looking at the chair. God damn it!
I love that. But it's the song they play. It's always the same
it
thing.
is.
I know. I feel like it'd be offensive if I tried to sing it.
I
know, right?
I love that song, guys.
Me fucking too.
Unironically love it.
I just like it makes me want to fucking dance.
It does. You saw me. I can't even sing it without Anyway,
it's in my bucket list to go to a Jewish wedding.
Yeah, it's oh, man, I didn't even. When I looked up stomping
why do
the
they
glass,
do the chair thing?
Yeah, because I didn't even think about it. I just remember at the end of the ceremony, either the groom or the bride and groom now, because traditionally it was just the groom, but now in modern times, sometimes the bride also steps on her own glass. You want to go ahead and tell us the chair?
It says, at Jewish weddings, the tradition of lifting people in chairs, usually the bride and groom, during the Hara dance symbolizes the couple's elevation and joy on their special day, signifying that they are being lifted up spiritually as they begin their new life together. I kind of love it. I do love that.
I love that a lot. So, before they get lifted in the chairs, at the very end of the marriage ritual, they will stomp on a glass and break it. Now, this glass is wrapped in a couple of napkins, so the glass doesn't go everywhere, right? Yes, exactly. Now, there's multiple different reasons that they step on the glass. One of the reasons is, as probably a lot of people have assumed, has to do with sexual connotations, the breaking of the hymen in the marital act.
Really?
That's not the main reason, actually. I couldn't remember the main reason until this one came out of my mouth. So I just started with the one that came first, right? And it's the simplest, and it's actually what I always kind of assumed it meant. It's kind of symbolizing him taking her virginity. And it kind of, in a Jewish wedding ceremony, it is required that you consummate the marriage. It's not a
wedding.
Yeah, you have to, because there's the bastardized version of the text that talks about not spilling any semen, and most people take that to be anti-homosexual. It's not. It has nothing to do with not being okay with homosexuals. It's that they were a small tribe, and so the only way to grow their numbers and survive the persecution against them was to have babies. How do you have babies? You don't waste any sperm. And that was what that whole passage is about, but it's been bastardized to be about anti-homosexuality. But that's, and it's used against people that are homosexual. But that's not what it's about, guys. That's not what it's about at all. It's about they want you to make babies. And so in the marriage pact, you are required to try and make children. You can't just, like, in the old days, get married and be like, oh, we're just going to enjoy each other. Like, no, you weren't supposed to. So you are supposed to break her hymen and try to make babies. So that is one thing that it represents. But the act of the smashing of the glass is actually older than the writing of the Talmud itself. And in the Talmud, there is the story that explains why you do the breaking of the glass. And there's a rabbi, his son is getting married. All the other rabbis he notices are, like, real happy. They drunk, okay? So he takes a really expensive chalice and he puts it on the ground and he stomps on it. Girl, you are driving me crazy. Go lay down. And he stomps on it to break it, and it sobers them all up because they're like, oh my God, what just happened? This thing broke. And it is to remind them, because in all Jewish ceremonies, there is this thing of, and not just ceremonies, but celebrations. There is this thing of, even when we are celebrating, we must remember the pain and the suffering that came before us, as well as the healing that the world still needs, which I think is highly beautiful. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's sad that you want them to immediately be like, you may now kiss the bride. Bam! Okay, remember, everybody's still suffering. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of rough. But, so there's that. There's the sexual aspect. There is the aspect that demons are attracted to happiness and people who are doing well. Mm-hmm. So, loud noises scare demons away. We've talked about it.
I actually like that.
And so it is an act of protection, scaring away any of the demons that might be coming up to mess with this happy occasion or mess with the future fortunes of these people who are now joining their life together. Yeah, it's beautiful. That's one of, like, I have 3 favorites. It's the rabbi story, this one, and then the one I'm going to finish with because it should be the last one. But so also part of a marriage is a covenant, and in Jewish tradition, a covenant has to involve the breaking or cutting of something. So you're breaking the glass, and so, like, there's the breaking of the glass, but also the glass can cut through something. So the covenant is now solidified, right? And then is there anything other than it represents the frailty of human relationships. The glass is so fragile, right? So the breaking of the glass is an incantation of, as this glass breaks, so shall my marriage not break.
Oh, I like that too.
Yes.
I like the protection, and I like that one. I really do.
Okay, and the last one is my absolute favorite. The loud noise of the breaking of the glass cuts through and ends the hush of the mythic space that the marriage ritual held in time. And it ushers back everyone to real life again, regular life. And I thought that was beautiful. Like,
the whole ceremony is very beautiful.
Yeah. Like, very I think beautiful. All of the reasons, the whole ceremony is very beautiful, but all of the reasons behind that, like, all of them are very beautiful. Except, I mean, the breaking of the
even the chair thing was beautiful.
Yeah. I really absolutely. I like that too. Lifting everybody up. I mean, I like the 4 of Wands actually is kind of based on the chair ceremony. Which, as far as I understand, the chair ceremony can exist outside of a wedding, but I'm not positive. Because I think it happens at bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs.
I think it happens at bat mitzvahs too.
Yeah. Yeah. But still, I mean, it's really cool because, like, yeah.
Which brings us to the tying of the knot. The tying of the knot, from what I read, is an ancient Celtic tradition. Or it's, like, ancient in that area. You know what I mean? So Scottish, Celtic.
Handfasting definitely is ancient. One thing I read said it's been being done in the lands of the Irish for 9,000 years. and Scottish lands for 7,000 years, which would
Okay.
definitely mean the Irish started. But there was a lot
Well,
of
Celtic-
different
does that-
timelines that they're both Celtic.
Okay, that's what I
but
thought.
you know, it spread from the Irish to the Scottish. And the Scottish, like, while we're like, let's just in this research I found, the Scottish were very loose with their marriage ceremony. Like, very, like, just saying, like, I'm gonna be your husband, you're gonna be my wife, like, or I say I'm gonna be your husband, and you say I'm gonna be your wife. You know, that was a marriage.
Woohoo!
Having sex,
Love it.
that was you're married. That is consent.
You know what,
you
though?
are married.
I kind of love the casualty.
Yeah,
of it all.
yeah. In the, I think it was in the 1400s, the church tried to, like, put a cap on that and was like, yo, gotta have a priest involved, and the church has to be okay with your union.
I'm just like
and
imagining.
the Scots were like, look up our kilts, motherfucker, we don't care. They held out till 1939.
No. Oh, nice. Okay.
Right? And Corey goes, oh, so it was the distraction of World War II is what the church needed to slide that law in on him. And he's probably not wrong.
Not wrong.
I was just like, yeah.
But I'm just like, in my head, maybe this is romantic, Maddie, but I'm like imagining, okay, there's like a gathering. Maybe it's like a Maybon gathering type thing, okay? And then this one guy just grabs this girl by the arm and is like, this is my wife now. And she's like, yay! And then they're like, you know what I mean? Or maybe not Maybon. What would be the best time to do that? Beltane?
Beltane would be when that would really happen.
Yeah.
Like, Handfastings would happen a lot at Beltane because a lot of them were a temporary thing.
Yeah.
You know, you see if
right,
you like
for
it.
like a year.
Yeah, a year and a day is the traditional magical, but that might be a modern traditional magical.
Right, we'll look
you know
more
what
into
I mean? Well, I found different sources said different things, and when you can't find a consensus, I just never want to say one way or another. Because I found both things. Like, some things said that was completely made up by people that, like, wrote books and romanticized things. And the other thing said, like, no, like, totally would happen. Sometimes that year and a day was like, though, if she wasn't pregnant by then, he could totally be like, go back to your family. I don't want to know.
That's
that's rough. That's rude.
Well, and I know, like, in ancient Jewish things, it was like they were married for a year before, and he lived with her family before they moved out and got their own place, and like
right. Well, and I don't know about Jewish tradition at all, but I do know there's a lot of Indian traditions that would follow. Like, I don't know if that makes it Hindu or Buddhist, but that's definitely I think it's a Hindu tradition.
Well, they're so close,
but,
and I only know because Mary got pregnant with Jesus before she was that year had gone up. So she wasn't supposed to have sex with him until after that year, and she got pregnant. And he's like, hey, that wasn't mine. You know what I mean? That's the only reason.
Gotcha. Okay. That, like, literally.
But, like, literally a year and a day is, like, or a year is so sacred for so many, like...
Yeah. Well, and I've always heard it as a year and a day versus just a year, and, I mean, I'm okay with that. I do love me some, like, little magical traditions there, so... but, like, either way, whether it was permanent or for a temporary to see how it went, it is an ancient Celtic practice that, you know...
So they would hold hands and then another...
But that's handfasting specifically.
Yeah, we're talking about hand... okay. Yeah. Moving on to the handfasting. So they would hold hands and they would... One person or someone would tie a ribbon or something like that between the hands to symbolize their... spiritual connection after the marriage. Yeah. And people do that nowadays. Yeah. Like, it's definitely a thing nowadays, but it's also very old.
Yeah. And there's different ways that you could do it. Like, sometimes the hands would be tied together, like, for the entire, like, reception time, right? Sometimes the way that it's tied, you just have a, like, two different strings with a knot in them. Nowadays, it's very, or, like, some people do very ornate things. Although, in the research for this, which I've never seen when I've been looking into handfasting for, like, doing weddings myself, because I've done several handfastings, but, like, a lot of people do cute things, like, these people were, like, opposing football team fans, so they had their scarves.
Oh, I love that. That's cute.
Yeah! Like, can you imagine
so
a Slytherin scarf and a
I know, a Gryffindor scarf. Oh my god, I love it. Well, and also, like, I had read that different colors for the ribbons mean different things. Like, I think blue was, like, tranquility and peace and the relationship, and then there's like red, which is like passion, and that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an ancient practice or if that's a modern thing.
Well, I know, like, so in ancient times it would have been very common to, like, use your family's colors, your family's tartan. But also, it would have been very important to have protection, fidelity, fertility.
Right.
You know, so, like, it makes sense either way there. Mm-hmm. But also, you know, tying the knot comes from more than just hand fasting. In Asian countries, and in other ones as well, but the one that I really like the idea of is they tie red threads together.
Oh.
And they tie the knot. So, like, tying the knot.
So, like, they actually tie a knot.
Yes. So, tying the knot specifically comes from, like, lots of different cultures. Because I saw something about, like, an African practice. And, like, definitely all over the world. Hand fasting is specifically Celtic. Uh-huh. Other people have tried to say hand fasting is other things. But everything leads back to it is specifically a Celtic practice.
I had seen... on Pinterest while I was doing my research on the tying the knot. There's a lot of ways that people incorporate that into their thing nowadays. I saw a thing that was instead of a flower, the groom had a knot on his thing.
That's beautiful.
I know, it was very pretty. And she had one too. Instead of, like, I don't know, something. I don't know if she was wearing a necklace that had the knot or something. But I actually really liked that.
I really like that. And I like, one thing that I read was, like, ancient and modern hand fastings quite often, they're not till death do us part. Mm-hmm. They're for as long as the love lasts. And I've actually done 2 hand fastings that was the way it was presented. And I thought that was really beautiful. You know?
I like that because it allows consent as opposed to...
And space for growth.
Yeah, space for growth. You say till death do us part, that's like no matter what.
Right, exactly. But, like, you change completely as people. Like, if you get married in your 20s, when you're in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, you're not the same people that married each other at 20.
Exactly.
You're just not. No. And if you're high school sweethearts, you are not the same people anymore. No. You're just not.
No.
I mean, and it's not always a bad thing, like, because here's the thing, like, if you grow together, even if you grow in different ways, you don't have to grow apart.
Exactly.
But when you grow apart, a hand fasting, or some hand fastings, maybe not so much the modern era, but definitely the former one, they leave room for that growth and that allowing separation, which is now as I say that out loud, I wonder if that's why the church was so against divorce, because pagans allowed for that.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
So, like, as a way to separate themselves.
Women could divorce their man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Vikings also did hand fastings. They got that from the Celts. I remember. I was like,
it's in that, like, general area.
Well, in Europe in general, like, because as cultures come together, they spread. You know what I mean? So, like, you learn this from there, and they learn it from there. So just like the jumping of the broom. So the jumping of the broom is also a Celtic practice that originated in the Irish areas. I never read about it in Scotland. I think because Scotland already had such lax marriage laws. So jumping of the broom is not actually a technical marriage. Jumping of the broom is like it's an unofficial marriage, not an illegal marriage. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's like we never went to a priest. We never did all the things. We got married. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's what the jumping of the broom is. And so poor people that under the rule of the church couldn't get their spouses passed by the church and things like this because the church had to approve these marriages, right? Like that was part of like medieval whatever. So in the 1700s, in Ireland, they started having the practice of jumping over a broom or some kind of threshold to signify their commitment to each other. Sometimes, like, that could be, now we're in a new place together, right? When you cross the threshold together, however you want to look at it.
So it wouldn't be considered an ancient practice, but definitely an old one.
Right, definitely an old one. It's not completely modern. Now, the Irish took it to the British, and then collectively they brought it over to America. And it wound up where poor Southern white people were doing that practice, and enslaved African Americans got that practice from the the poor white people that they lived in the same places of, and they shared these practices with each other. And unfortunately, slave masters did not want to condone unions, even though it might make the people happier and make them work better. It also made it harder for. Honestly, I was expecting it to be they didn't want it to be harder for when people got sold, which is terrible and it's not okay.
No,
but that is what I was expecting to read. It was actually when a husband and a woman, when a man and a wife get married, he now has legal control over her.
Oh, I did not know that. I was thinking it would be a vulnerability thing. They didn't want them to be vulnerable.
Yeah,
wow.
That makes sense too. But I was just expecting it to be they would have a harder time separating them. Right? Because legally.
You say that and I'm no, they didn't give a shit. They were awful.
Yeah, no, they didn't give a shit. It meant they had a harder time being able to legally control her because now her husband would be her owner.
God, that fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's really gross.
So you mentioned carrying...
But they adopted the jumping of the broom because that was a way for them to commit to each other.
You mentioned the carrying over the threshold. I didn't do research on this, but I had to look it up because I'm curious. So according to just the Google overview, a way to mark the start of a couple's married life and to protect the bride from evil spirits. The tradition has origins in many cultures, including ancient Rome and medieval England. The tradition may have originated from the rape of the Sabine. What is that? Sabine women, when the groom would carry the bride back into his home after she tried to run away. That's not
so this is unfortunately not the only icky
that wasn't happy.
Previously, marriage really was my grandmother was born in the early 1900s and she never had a credit card in her own. Okay?
God damn.
You know what I mean? So it's marriage used to definitely be our husbands owned us, and we recently don't have to deal with that anymore. And if you do, just...
So...
I'm not telling you what to do with your life. Oh my God. I was
happier.
Just my viewpoint.
Happier, medieval England and Britain. Grooms would carry the brides over the threshold to protect them from evil spirits that might curse the marriage. And in Britain, some believed that the threshold contained malevolent, you know what I'm trying to say. Malevolent powers that could destroy the marriage or the bride's ability to bear children. So ultimately, the purpose is to protect the bride from evil spirits, to avoid the bride from tripping and bringing bad luck to the couple. That is so sexist. Yeah, I'm sorry, but is that not...
I don't know this doorway! Oh my God! I know! That's not my kitchen!
She's so weak. To create a protective boundary for the bride, which I love that as a protective.
There's a lot of these that I'm seeing as protection for the bride because you mentioned one of the origins being ancient Rome for protecting from evil spirits. That's where bouquets and boutonnieres come from. They used to be, they'd have dill flowers and another kind of protective, and that's where bouquets became fancier later. But originally, they were flowering herbs.
I bet it was dill and rosemary.
Yeah.
To indicate the bride wasn't eager to consummate.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done talking.
Oh, no. Today, the tradition is often seen as a fun way for the couple to celebrate. So I really love the idea of it being a protection thing because I love the idea that, you know what, fuck no, I'm not going to get into it. I'll talk to you about it later.
I thought you were going to say the idea of the knight in shining armor.
Well, no, I was just thinking I like the idea of in a heterosexual relationship, for me, I love the idea of the male aspect of that relationship being the physical protector and the female aspect being the spiritual protector. So I feel like that's a way that the male aspect of that relationship could show some form of physical and spiritual protection.
Yeah, see, I was going to say it's both.
It's
honestly.
both, yeah.
And a lot of traditions are like that. So, like, one of the jumping or breaking the glasses, you know, it's about protection, bouquets, and carrying through the threshold, protection. Another thing I had read about was wedding rings, right? One of the reasons that wedding rings came along, it was supposed to be a symbol of, they came along in Roman times when you could do nothing like that. And it was a symbol of the husband's protection on his wife. It was also something.
I have to say that I was so excited to say it. That's why I said it like that. Like, oh my god, that's annoying. Anyway, yeah.
Was it about Roman times or the protection aspect?
We were talking about
Okay, well, I'll tell the last thing that I looked up, which I wasn't I just happened to come across it. The origin of bridal showers. So it comes out of dowry, right? So I don't know if everybody knows what a dowry is, but a dowry is what the bride's family paid to the husband's family to take her off her hands, basically. I mean, really.
No, really.
Yeah, like, what else? Like, because I'm going to make kids, I'm going to make the dinner. Like, I'm paying my own damn way. You know what I mean? So I don't need a dowry.
My husband's stepfather gave me a dowry for marrying $1,000. Did you know this? Did you know this?
Wow.
That's what he called it. That's what he called it and everything. I can't believe I didn't tell you that. Yeah. He said, here's Brasson's dowry.
Every once in a while, I truly love him.
I know, he's such a fucker.
That's so fucking funny. So, there's a story, and apparently a lot of different cultures have similar stories, so I really don't know if any of them are true, but bridal showers came out of this girl in the Netherlands. She wanted to marry a poor carpenter. And right before the wedding, her father was like, fuck no! He can't take care of you. You can marry that motherfucker, you know? And so she was determined to marry him anyway. And a dowry, like, it was intended to get the couple started off with. You know, it's usually like, you know, like I know in Slavic countries, a huge part of the dowry is blankets and towels that were made by the bride.
Oh, I love that.
And her family.
Oh, and Vikings gave cats.
Yes!
Yes,
they did. For protection, right?
Yes.
Which would also keep you healthy because they're going to eat the rodents.
That's what I was going to say. It makes sense to me that the protections in these rituals are all about protecting the bride because back then women died during pregnancy and labor like fucking flies.
True, and if you want her to be able,
So I think that's why all that protection. Also, women were extremely vulnerable to shame. You know what I mean? So like, oh, we gotta make.
That's why the Slavs have multiple house deities that do not like it when the man beats the woman.
Yeah,
they go really shit. There's like lots of stories about that. But like, so the dowry is intended to set them up right? So like, the bride has plenty of blankets to keep her warm and things like this. And since the dad was like against the wedding, she wasn't gonna have her dowry. He refused to give a dowry. So the town folk felt bad for her, and they showered the bride with gifts to start her house.
That. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is
I was not expecting that.
I like that.
I didn't look into. I wasn't expecting the bridal showers to come up in my research. I did not look into bachelor parties, so there's strippers. There's a lot of movies about that.
I keep opening up my phone because there's things that I wanted to look up that I had.
Yeah, like after jumping the broom, breaking the glass, tying the knot / handfasting, you know, I really
okay. And I mean this is
think of anything on my phone.
The tradition of kissing the bride at the wedding ceremony, often signaled by the phrase "you may kiss the bride," originates from old Catholic practices where a priest would give the groom a kiss of peace, which he would then pass on to his new wife. Gay! No, I'm just kidding.
I'm over here like, why didn't they refer me?
Like I feel like
to kiss the dude at the wedding.
It just started like because these this Catholic priest was so sad that his love was marrying another girl or person and he wanted to kiss him at his wedding. So he's like, this is what we're gonna do, and then it just stopped.
That hurt my heart.
It is romantic.
There's nothing wrong with kissing the dude at the wedding, but why wouldn't you just let these people marry on their own, guys? I think they do now. Do they now? There are a lot of people now.
I think so.
I think so.
The kiss is seen as a representation of the couple's commitment to each other, joining their lives as one. Many couples today view the wedding kiss as a romantic gesture, signifying their love and public declaration of it. It's sweet. I like the bite. I did not know that it was like a free ride. You know, like for lack of a better word.
Them lucky brides. He's never gonna let you have that kind of free ride.
Right.
Enjoy it.
It's like down the line. Lame.
Yeah.
Like
no Eiffel Tower for you. It's just a kissing.
Oh, God. So, with that being said, I had so much fun doing this episode, Amber. I learned so much. I love.
So, who out there's having a Valentine's wedding? I know spring weddings, like May and June weddings are the most popular. September and October starting to come around. But who's had a Valentine's wedding? I'm curious. I want to know if any of our listeners. Curious. Sorry, you go ahead and say yeah. Because I had so much fun. Because I was like, I thought it would just be a good Valentine's time episode, but I learned so much more.
I did learn more, and I had so much fun. It was great. I'm sure we could probably think of a dozen other weddings.
There probably are.
Like, I'm like, why the fuck didn't the flower girl? Why?
You know what? I don't know. I didn't look into that one, but like you say that about flowers, and I will say that in my research about hand fasting, there's a Hindu tradition of the bride and groom tying flower garlands into knots to signify their union. And damn, what was the other one? Tying the knot. And then with the jumping the broom research, I read that in Ghana, they have a tradition of waving brooms over the head of the bride and groom, and possibly to ward off like evil spirits and rain prosperity and stuff down on them. One thing I read said that the bride is supposed to do this in one of these cultures over her in-laws to signify her willingness to clean the house, and I was like, that's got to be some bullshit.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
No, I did have to look up the flower girl thing because I had a feeling, and I think so. A flower girl is traditionally included in a wedding procession to symbolize fertility and prosperity for the new couple, stemming from ancient Rome times where young girls would scatter herbs and grains to bless the marriage. I wondered if it was like a protection thing for the bride again.
Yeah, I like that. The Romans had a lot of floral things, and you know what? It makes sense though because of where they lived. They would have lots of access
and
to
lots of herbs, fresh herbs, like you said, dill, rosemary.
Well, and you guys, oregano. Dill is great for keeping evil spirits away, which is why they had. And it has really pretty flowers too. The flowers don't taste good. I've tried. I thought maybe.
They're not good.
No, they're very bitter.
What is it?
Dill. The flowers on
the
my
white,
dill
it's
flowered.
White, right?
Is it white or was it yellow? I can't remember. They're either a little white or a little yellow flowers. Every once in a while, guys, I let my herbs flower. I don't mean to. It just happens.
It happens. I fought it so hard. With my oregano, and it just kept happening and happening. And my grandmother was just like, "Let it go, Maddie. It's ready." Like, I think I told you that. Like, I fought so hard. I wanted that oregano to last forever. And she's like, he's telling you he's done his job.
I fought so hard.
Literally let it go. And when she said that, I was like, oh my God, she's right. This poor thing is ready to, it's lived its
He's
life.
like, I'm putting my genes out there. How
Let
many
me
times
die. Yeah, literally. Which is very sad because it grew so well.
It was so pretty.
It was so pretty. It grew so big.
I do love growing
my own herbs. It did its job like my grandmother.
We're gonna, under that light over there, which is not on right now, but the one under the cabinet, we're gonna put an indoor herb garden with the whole length there, so you could just, just snip fresh herbs.
I love that.
I know.
Well, I guess we better end this.
Yeah,
it was such a fun episode.
It was. What traditions did you guys do in your weddings? I'm
or
curious.
do you want to incorporate if you haven't been married yet?
Are you planning a wedding and we just helped you a lot? Let us know in the comments on YouTube or wherever you may be listening.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find us on Threads, Facebook, and Instagram at Witches Talk Tarot.
You can find us on the Victoria.
And we're gonna give that shout out to Melissa.
Sometimes
look, we love you. We love you, even if you did have to because of things like you supported us for so long.
Yes. But if you want to support us as well, you can support us for as little as $1.50 a month, or bigger perks beyond the shout out and early episodes start at $3, moving up to $5 and then $10. And you can find that at patreon.com/Witches Talking Tarot. So thanks for coming to sit with us for a spell. Bye.
That was such a fun episode.